Given a string, return the number of segments in the string. What is the segment? Segment is defined as a sequence of non-space characters, basically a word. Your task is to correctly count how many words exist, no matter how messy the spaces are. Let's understand with example. Here is one example string. This string has 4 words. Welcome to Code Career. So our output should be 4. Let's take one more example. Input string can have trailing spaces, leading spaces or spaces in between. We need to handle all these conditions, and this string has 3 words. I love coding. So our output should be 3 in this case. You might split string into individual words and then count how many words are there. This approach will work, but it will use extra space and will complicate the overall logic. What if we do not split these words at all? Is there any better way? Let's build logic step by step. Here we have an example string. Here the idea is we do not want to count the words. Rather we want to detect where the word starts. For example, here is the start of first word, here is the start of second word, and here is the start of third word, and here is the start of fourth word. If we can detect the start of word, we can find the total number of words in the string. So the question is, how do we detect the start of word, right? So there are 2 possible scenarios. Let's understand one by one. Here is the first scenario. A word starts when current character is not a space and it is a start of the string. So in this case, the first character is not a space and it is the start of the string, right? So first word is starting from here. Second scenario is current character is not a space, but previous character should be space, right? Let's say T is our current character and this is not a space, but its previous character is a space. So this is the start of new word, right? So this is the second word. Again, if C is our current character, then its previous character is a space. So this is the start of third word. Again, if this C is our current character, then its previous character is a space. So this is the start of fourth word. So we have total 4 words. Based on this logic, let's develop our code step by step. We need to develop count segments function, which accepts a character pointer as input and returns the number of segments present in the input string. Let's declare one count variable, int count equal to 0. This will keep track of total number of words present in the string. Let's write the for loop to traverse the string. For int I equals to 0, s of I plus plus. As we know, string ends with a null terminator character. And if s of I reaches the null terminator character, this loop will break. To detect start of the word, what is our first condition? The first condition is it should not be a space. If s of I is not equal to space, then what we need to do? I is pointing to the beginning with this loop. This character is not a space and it is a first character. If I is equal to 0, which means this is the first character and it's not a space. In this case, we need to increment the count plus plus, as we encountered the first word. Now let's traverse the string. In next iteration, I will point to the second word. So I will point here. So again, this is not a space and this is not a first character. Is this the start of new word? No, right? Because its previous character is not a space. So we need to handle this condition properly, or s of I minus 1, which is the previous character, and it should be space. In that case only we'll increment the count. Otherwise we'll simply ignore. Now what will happen with this condition? I is pointing here and its previous character is not space. So it will do nothing, will not increment count. So I will point here in next iteration. Again its previous character is not space, we move forward. Again its previous character is not space, we move forward, and we will reach to the point where I points here. At this point what will happen? This character is not a space and its previous character is a space. So this condition, right? So in this case we encountered start of new word. So we increment count. Finally, once loop ends, count will hold the total number of words present in the string. So we return count. Now let's see the complete working code. Here is the complete working code for your quick reference. With this for loop, we are traversing the string. Our core logic is to detect the start of the word. How do we detect the start of the word? If the character is not a space, then it is a probable start. So if it is the first character, then it's the start of the first word. So we increment the count. Or if the current character is not space, but the previous character is space, then we increment the count, as this will be the start of next word. Once this loop exits, count will hold the total number of words present in the string and we return the count. Here is something to think about. What if string has multiple spaces? For example, space, hello, space, word. What if the input string has leading or trailing spaces? Will this solution still work correctly? Pause the video and test it yourself. Share your answers in the comment below.